Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to another episode of Gills in the Blood TV. Slightly later now. I am back in full-time employment, thankfully, so we'll not be able to record until the evening. So it will be a slightly later slot. Hope you all can still tune in, obviously. Yeah, looking back at Saturday, frustrating, I think was probably the watchword for most people. Steve Lovell said that. I think Jake Essenthaler mentions it in Monday's Midway Messenger, which we'll have a look in a little while. But yeah, and Steve has also mentioned that a few of the lads looked a little bit leggy and a little bit tired at the weekend. And here's a small quote from today's Midway Messenger. As you can see there, Steve is quite honest with his appraisal of what happened at the weekend. A few of the boys looked tired. We didn't have the sharpness that we've had in recent weeks. We looked a bit leggy. The picture is of Luke O'Neill. He was one that got brought off for that reason. Jake Essenthaler does mention that he was tired. He's feeling it a bit at the moment. Callum Riley's another name that's been mentioned. It's going to happen. We're playing a lot of games. We haven't got the biggest of squads. We certainly didn't until the January transfer window when we managed to get a few more numbers in. And one thing that's not helping is the Priestfield pitch. A little bit more from Steve on the back page. He says, Connor Wilkinson came on and looked sharp, looked good. Wagstaff the same, hopefully Lee Martin will be back. He's alluding to the fact that he might make changes for tomorrow's game as we travel to league leaders Shrewsbury, which we'll have a look a little bit in a little while. I have players who I can play. I'll have different formations. We will look at how Shrewsbury set up against Rotherham on Saturday, and then we'll pick a team accordingly. And about the pitch, a heavy home pitch isn't helping performances. Lovell admitted the pitch doesn't help. He said everyone does their best to prepare the ground as best we can. We have to deal with it. The players don't moan about it. I don't either. It is the same for everybody, but you might find that we get more points away than we do at home. There's plenty of talk about it on social media. It is what it is. We can't change it. Like I said a few weeks ago, no one mentioned the pitch when we battered Bristol Rovers at home 4-1. Then it became an issue when we drew 2 on the bounce over the festive period. Then it wasn't an issue again when we beat Rochdale and Fleetwood back-to-back games. Even last week it didn't really get mentioned that much after our last-minute equaliser, but Saturday again, it does cut up. I'm not sitting here and saying that it's a carpet and it's Wembley, but it's the same for both teams and it's up to both teams to adapt. And it is hard, obviously, and maybe it is a factor in the fact that we've only won what I think is 4 games in the league at home all season. But it is what it is. We cannot change it. Going inside the Medway Messenger, Luke Cordell's report, I think he sums it up very nicely again, like I do every week. His final paragraph reads, Walsall even withdrew Oztema early on. They really weren't interested in winning. Thankfully, Gills have a more ambitious outlook, even if it doesn't always work out. And for me, the positive, as frustrating as Saturday was the fact that the feeling after the game amongst a lot of supporters I felt as we was walking back to the car was that we were frustrated because it was a missed opportunity and a real chance to get within striking distance of the top 6. We still are. We're not miles away. We're 6 points off of it. I think the next few weeks could have a massive say. We've got some big games coming up starting tomorrow night, and then our first 3 in March are huge. But it would have got us to within 4, which was less than 2 wins, which would have been great. Put some real pressure on teams above us. But again, we can't say it enough. From where we've come from to be where we are at the moment is absolutely astonishing. So I'm not going to sit here and dig Steve Lovell out. A few people mentioned Saturday and on social media on our Facebook page that maybe we could have sacrificed the centre half. I do tend to agree, especially once Bakayoko went off for them. I thought maybe we could have taken off Ben Nugent because he was the one that was in there to counteract the height and maybe got more pace on maybe an Elliot List or a Bradley Garmston. But Steve's not got anything wrong really since he's taken over, so I'm not moaning. That's just my opinion. Other people have different opinions, and that's fine. But yeah, as well as Steve Lovell talking about his frustration. He says again, perhaps back in October I could have sat there happy that we've picked up a point, but no. But you have to move on and take the positives out of it. It's a point. You don't want to have all the game and lose it in the last minute. It's fair enough. Is it a game we'd have lost under Adrian Pennock? Perhaps. Is it a game we'd have lost last season? Probably. So again, it's another step in the right direction. But another person who was frustrated at the weekend is this man coming up on your screen now, man of the match again. That is, of course, Jake Hessenthaler, who picked up the sponsors man of the match for the second home game in a row after winning it against Peterborough last week as well. And as you can see by the quote, had we won the game, we would have been only 4 points off the playoffs. That's what we've just spoken about. I've just mentioned that. It is a little bit annoying, especially in the fact that Walsall were rubbish. I said to Boz on the Matchday Live that Northampton, when they come down and beat us in October, early in Steve Lovell's reign, they were pants for pretty much the whole game. They were rubbish for 44.5 minutes in the first half and then scored, and then they scored a really good free kick second half. But apart from that, they were absolute crap, for want of a better word. But at least they showed 2 bits of brilliance to win the game. Walsall offered absolutely now. I lost count of the amount of times that they couldn't even play 5-yard balls to each other, just rolling it out of play. People were missing their touches. Their keeper just kept kicking it out of play all the time. And yeah, we didn't test him enough, I don't think, but we've still created enough chances to have got over the line. I think on another day, Tom Eaves could have had a hat-trick. One header that's clipped the bar, but his second one for me was the better chance. He's headed it too close. He's headed it into the floor. If he just headed it properly, I think it goes in the bottom corner, and then we'd have probably won the game comfortably. Second half, he's had one straight at the keeper that he's shoveled out or back into a dangerous area unconventionally, and then he's hit the post from about 3 yards. Another day, one of them goes in and we win 3 points, and we're not having to talk about a frustrating performance, but it is what it is. Yeah, but back to Jake Hessenthaler. Hessenthaler did admit he felt tired on Saturday, something the manager mentioned in his own press conference. He said, there were quite a few of us saying we were quite tired. The pitch is heavy. Last week's game against Peterborough took a lot out of the pitch because it was a very wet day. We've had back-to-back games. We maybe looked a bit lethargic first half, but second half we changed gear a bit. We were frustrated at times, but it's still a good point. On another day, we could have taken all 3. We're not going to get 2 down. We have to go again Tuesday and keep positive. That's all we can do. We can't change Saturday now, and as I've already said, it was probably a game we'd have lost last season. So in that respect, it's another point on the board. It's another point closer to Steve Lovell's target of 50 or 51 points. But yeah, so that's probably all in regards to Saturday's game. Just a quick look at the match ratings. I'll shout the player out and then Luke's ratings and then ours. Thomas Holy 6.5. Max Amar 7.7. Gabby Zakwani 7.7. Ben Nugent 6.5. Luke O'Neill 6.6. Mark Byrne 7.7. Connor Ogilvie 7.7. Jake Hessenthaler 7.5. Callum Riley 6.5. Josh Parker 6.5. Thomas Eaves 6.5. And substitutes Connor Wilkinson and Scott Wagstaff, we both agreed on both. We both gave 6. But yeah, a little bit of news in brief coming up on your screen right about now. Not loads to talk about from the weekend. Darren Oldacre, as you're probably all aware now, on loan at Hythe, got 2 on his debut, I believe. Another goal and 2 assists at the weekend in their 3-2 win, so that's good to see. He's getting 90 minutes under his belt again and he's contributing, so that's only going to do his confidence good. One ex-manager of ours, who probably isn't too loved down here, Adrian Pennock, but he did come back down with his new club Barrow at the weekend and beat Maidstone 1-0, so a bit of credit back maybe amongst some of our fans. And Liam Nash is getting closer to first team selection according to Steve Lovell, who says, I would have liked to have got another forward on Saturday and maybe given Nashy a run out. But the way the game was going, I didn't think the conditions would have been good for him. He has worked hard in training and he is chomping at the bit to have a go. When they are not playing and they are not playing League One games, it's hard to judge them. That is why I wanted to give them 20 to 25 minutes. He deserves it, as do some of the others, but I don't want to throw points away for the sake of giving someone a run out. It has to be right. But it's good to see that Nashy's training well, he's getting himself in contention, and who knows, if he can just pinch that first goal, he might go on a little bit of a run, but let's not put pressure on him like I've said all season. But now let's have a look to the more important issue, and that is tomorrow's game as we travel to take on league leaders Shrewsbury. Looking at their form in the last 6, they have gone drawn 1-1, lost 1, lost. And we have gone 1-1, lost, drawn 1, drawn. So they've taken 10 points from their last 18 available and we have won 11, so not a lot in it. In terms of their last 6 at home, 1-1-1, drawn, lost, lost. taken 10 points from 18, but they've lost their last 2 at home to Plymouth and Rotherham. So I'm not going to read too much into it. They're 2 sides that are absolutely flying. Rotherham have won 6 on the bounce. Plymouth, their run's been more astonishing than ours, and they're up to within a point of the top 6, which is frankly mental. And in terms of our last 6 away, we've gone lost 1-1-1, lost 1. So we've taken 12 from 18. So there's not a great deal in it in terms of recent form. Looking at their squad, they don't have... You look at like Walsall, you'd say their star players Oztomar, or Peterborough, you go Jack Marriott, or I can't think of other people off the top, but you know what I'm saying. A lot of the teams you go, oh, they've got 1 or 2 that are absolute stardust. Shrewsbury, I don't think that. I just think you look at their squad, they've got a lot of good, hard-working, honest pros. They're well drilled, they know what they do within their roles, and Paul Hurst's done a brilliant job there. Obviously, they've got 1 ex-Gill in Stefan Payne. And yeah, in terms of what he's done, it's frankly brilliant, because they were pre-season favourites to go down, I think. So well done to all of them. But for tomorrow night, we hope we have a shocker. Team news: I don't think there's any change from the weekend. Scott Wagstaff and Lee Martin should be back in contention. Sorry, Waggy obviously came on. And in terms of a team, see, I said Saturday, so I'm going to contradict myself a little bit. Excuse me. I said that I didn't want to go with the 3-5-2, but away from home, I don't think Ben Nugent done enough to be dropped. So I would go with Thomas Holy, and then a back 3 of Ben Nugent, Gabby Zakwani, Max Amar. I'd play 2 wing backs, which would be Connor Ogilvie and Scott Wagstaff. I would go Mark Byrne and Jake Hessenthaler in the middle, Lee Martin just in front, and I would pair Connor Wilkinson with Tom Eaves up front. My bench would be Thomas Hadler, Bradley Garmston, Luke O'Neill, Callum Riley, Frank Musa, Elliot List and Josh Parker. Obviously Steve Lovell has spoken, as you've just seen in the news in brief, about Liam Nash, but I wouldn't have him on the bench tomorrow night. I think Josh Parker needs a game out of the spotlight, as does maybe Callum Riley. Bradley Garmston, I would have been inclined to get back in, but away from home we need to be more solid defensively. Not that Bradley Garmston's not a good defender, but again, I think it would be very harsh if we dropped Connor Ogilvie. I thought Saturday was one of his best performances in a Gill shirt. Prediction time. I am going to sit on the fence again like last week in the midweek fixture, and I'm going to say Shrewsbury 1, Gillingham 1. Again, if we can pinch the first one, who knows? It'd be great if we can go up there and nick 3 points. It'd be an absolutely huge result before what looks like a more winnable game at the weekend. But let's go one at a time. That's enough from me today. We are 13 away now from 700 on YouTube. If you can please keep spreading the word, please get your friends, your family involved, get them to subscribe. We might try and do a giveaway if there's anything possible once we get to 700 subscribers, but I'm not promising anything just yet, but it might be something that we can sort out. As always, thanks for watching. Please keep doing all the usual, and until next time, up the Gills.